It's now time to give this a snip. I've said many times before, we're gonna follow the line of the fender, come down, give it a chop. I'll make a plate, we'll weld it in so it'll be capped. I'm just gonna use a Sawzall to do this. And so it's gonna need some cleanup after the fact, unless my cut is super precise. Got a brand new blade on there just so it goes a little extra smooth. And start chopping. See if I can do a little better job, get it a little closer, a little tighter. Give her a look. I think that looks pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. So we'll cut the other side, and then we'll make a plate for it. Make the plate so that it just barely overlaps, so that we have a nice seam for the weld to lay in, so we don't have to do much, if any, cleanup afterwards. I think that looks pretty damn nice right there. Alright, I got some plates ready to weld on. Made a little cardboard template by just slapping a piece of cardboard up to the back side and tracing around it, cutting it out, cutting about an extra 1/16 the whole circumference so that these can recess in there, and show you how this fits. You can see there's decent gap on all sides that will let the weld fill in there, so it won't be bulging out on this side or out on the face of it. Should kind of recess in there pretty good. So, all right, sleeves down. Got the welder all set up here. I'm just gonna hold it in place and make sure my helmet's turned on so I don't flash myself. And I'm going to get it fit. Pointy end goes up a little bit. See if I can hold it in place with this welding pliers while I give it a couple tacks. Oh, welding gas is off. Son of a bitch. Turn it off just in case I wasn't going to come back out here. Last night I left it on, and so that sucks, but at least the tack is somewhere you can't really see it. I'll start the weld to the right of this, and then I'll roll back into it, and then roll back down and around. That should eliminate that nasty pile of crap. Actually, I'm going to do it on this side first. I'll start here, just beyond it, roll back up, and then roll the weld down. Alright. Let's see if I can make this side look a little decent. That side was trash. Let's see if I got it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Probably just take the angle grinder and at least clean off the face of it. But you can see out here, it looks pretty good. I kind of wanted it to not stick out and be all nasty, so That's why I made sure that there was that space between them so that the disc wasn't the full circumference of the tube. And I think that'll clean up and look pretty nice. So let's do the other side. See if my welding, yeah, that looks like it'll reach. Let's get reset up here. Just a quick little tacker. See if I can get this done here. I'm gonna reach around the camera, hopefully I don't bump it. Alright. Got my hand stuck on the strut there. Now I will roast the other side. See if I got it tied in. Looks like I do. This one's not quite as clean, but I'll just give her a quick buzz with the angle grinder once it cools off a little bit. So I think we'll revisit the other side and we'll get that guy ground down clean. It's never a good habit to form to grind welds, you know, unless it's like furniture or something like that, but this is purely a cosmetic piece here, so why not make it look a little better and clean up a few boogers while we're at it. And that looks pretty good. This disc is pretty shot though, and it's a 60 grit, so I'm going to switch out to a newer disc. That'll give me a much cleaner finish. Won't really be able to tell through the paint, I don't think, but we'll get her cleaned up a little better. Alright, that side's good to go. Can give her a look here. Let's go grind up the other side. This might be too dark, you might not even be able to see it, but whatever. Almost had a good accident there, but you can see on my finger, just burned it, didn't really cut it. That's why you wear gloves, kiddos. This side, the fitment wasn't quite as good, so the weld had a little more overlap, so just gave it a quick little buzz there and radius the corner a bit, and that will look pretty good. So there's that. Those are done now. I think the next step that I want to do before I call it a day is to get the fog lights mounted up, make some quick little brackets for those, get those bolted in, I'll deal with the wiring another day. I think we'll do that, and then we'll weld on the tow hooks. And then next time we will do the turn signals and make the skid plate, brush guard, whatever, the panel. I had cut a panel out of a piece of aluminum I had. I took some just real quick measurements, and it wound up being too skinny, the piece. I knew it was going to be a tight fit, but I chopped it anyways. That's about, I think it was 23 inches wide at the top, and I wanted about 16 3/4 long so that it kind of fit, not flush, but recessed in here just a little bit. It was just too small. It was the right dimensions, but it was just too small. I don't have any other pieces of aluminum that are the right thickness. All the other stuff I have is too thick or too thin. So looks like I'll be visiting the metal store to get that. I do have a piece of steel that would work, but I think having the aluminum will look nice. If it was steel, I could, you know, paint it like a satin black, whereas the tubes are going to be gloss black to kind of give it some dimension there, or have it powder coated. But I think I want to make a piece of aluminum and do it that way. So I'm going to get out the fog lights here. Got these Hella driving lights for free from a friend. They're blacked out. I have no idea if these things are high-end or if they're whatever, but they were free. They got some nice covers on them. They're going to work out pretty good. So it looks like the bracket's going to be real nice and simple, and I'll probably play with the spacing of these a little bit. I might like them a little bit wider just to kind of even out that gap, so to say, so that it kind of creates the same space in a way. So maybe it'll look good having it centered right about there. And so we'll transfer that mark over to the other side based on this tube. So that's just shy of 6 inches. And we'll do this just shy of 6 inches. Found some material. This is some 1/8 inch thick, cold rolled flat stock. We're just gonna make some little tabs with this. We'll cut it to length. We'll round the corners. We'll punch a hole for the bolt, and then we'll get these guys welded in place. So, going to put this back up there, take a quick measurement, see how long the tab needs to be for this to sit where I want. It doesn't need to be very long. This is my Pexto stomp shear from 1974. Got it for a pretty good deal. These things are worth their weight in gold if you're doing sheet metal work or fabrication on automotive type of stuff. I love it. Nice clean cuts. My only complaint with it is that you need to adjust it often in the climate I live in, because in the winter versus the summer, the blade needs to be adjusted to cut perfectly, because cold metal versus warm metal, it makes that much of a difference. Now I'm going to put a little pressure down on this, so the little hole down here is holding it, and I am going to stomp on this with all my might and see if it will cut this. This is cold rolled, so I am kind of dumb for doing this. This blade has seen better days, that's my excuse. And I don't know. If it works, it'll be great. If not, then I I will cut it with the angle grinder and clean it up, which is probably what I should do anyways. Alright, wish me luck. Nope, let me get the hose for the air hose out of the way. And 3, 2, 1. Boom! There it is. She worked. So you can see the piece that it cut. There's our cut edge. Super nice and clean. Square. Everything. Burr free. Perfect. Now I'm going to roll this back, line it up, do it the easy dirty way, mark it, and we will stomp out the other one. I mean, this thing can handle 16 gauge full length, so I don't know what gauge this is. I don't do enough of this stuff anymore to know all my conversions between you know, 16th and 30 seconds and whatever, and how that converts to gauges. But you know, the thinner you go, the more capacity it will handle. So we're gonna give this one a stomp here. There we go. And I built this nice little catch tray out of aluminum, so when I stomp something, it falls down into there, and it keeps the mess contained. And as long as you don't let it fill up too much, it's easy to find the piece that you just cut. Doesn't go flying across the shop. Now we're just gonna grab my edge scribe here and use this to find center. This is a handy little thing. This is just a cheap, you know, general, I forget what the brand is. I think the brand is just General. It's number 820, but you can slide this along, and it's got a tungsten scribe in it. So I always just eyeball it close to half. You don't want to actually get it dead nuts on half. So basically, let me aim this down here. What you're going to do is take this along the edge, make your mark, and then you're going to flip the piece. You're going to take it along the edge, make the mark, and then you can see you have those two marks, and then you get to you basically split the difference, and that's the center. Easy way to find center. If you need to be real accurate, you take a measurement first, so that when you give this a scribe, it's just like a 30-second between the lines, and then it's really easy to find that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scribe it across this way, so that the two holes are equidistant apart. I'm thinking it's going to be, this is all just kind of guesswork at this point. So there's that. There's that. We got both of our marks. I'm going to use an automatic center punch here to make a quick little indent. Kind of see just that little indent. For the punch that I have, that's all you need. The punches have a little spike on the end that will find that center punch, and that is all she wrote. I am done with the tubing notcher, so I'm going to put that away so I can mount up the punch. See you in a bit. Alright, this is my Roper Whitney number 8 hand punch. It, I guess it's a hand punch number 2, but I think the bits are number 8. Anyways, let's call it a number 2, that's what it says. You can go online, you can still buy these parts straight from Roper Whitney out of Chicago, I believe. I get all that type of stuff from tricktools.com. I bought this on eBay for 50 bucks with some dies. I've gotten a couple since then that are handy. This thing works great. You can, there's charts online that show you for each diameter of hole you want to punch, the maximum thickness. And I have punched like let's see here, I've punched like 1/8 inch holes in 3/16 thick. I've punched quarter and quarter. I've punched half and quarter, or not quarter. I've punched half or quarter in 3/16. I've punched 1/2 inch holes in 1/8. It works great. So I have a 2564 bit here, and I'm gonna see if that is the correct one for this. Yes, that is nice. It has a pretty tight fit, but it goes in easily. So we are going to install that. If you've watched any of my first motorcycle build series where I'm building a 79 Honda CB that you can see in the background of this video, I use this punch quite a bit for various little things. It is amazing. You adjust the bottom die depending on the thickness of the material, and if you use this a lot, you can really fine tune it so that there's no burr on the back side. I am going to give this a guess as to where it needs to be. Now I will take our tab that we have, I'll get right down here and line it up with the center punch. You can see it has found it. Now it is time to muscle up. This might take a few adjustments here. Also, oh, it looks like it's gonna go. Here's what comes out of it. Nice clean punch. Here's the part. Very nice hole. Little bit of a burr on the back side that we can clean up with our deburr tool or an angle grinder. Man, I love this thing. It nice, perfectly round hole, and doesn't heat up the material at all. You can use it right away afterwards. So that one's good. We'll punch our next hole. Find the center punch there as soon as it'll click in place, as soon as I actually find the damn thing. Where are we at here? There we go. And we will brace this a bit and yeah. There we go. Pretty damn easy. If you're stronger, you won't have to. But me, I gotta put my whole body into it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a marker and I'm gonna mark a radius on here. I'm gonna bring it over to my belt sander. I'm gonna sand it. Sharp edges are the devil, and nobody likes getting their wrist cut on that. So let's, I just have a socket right here. Why not use that? Sure, whatever, cool. Give this guy a mark. Give the other side a mark here. And let's go a little bit more inboard. There you go. One of these days I want to get actual like mechanical punch press so that I can get a corner rounding die, so that just like you kind of saw, you can just punch that corner right off. But this is all just a hobby. I used to kind of run a side business doing this stuff, and wasn't worth my while. Wasn't worth the stress for me anyways. I didn't buy this equipment to start a business. I bought this equipment because I used to play Mr. Race Car Driver, and I wanted to build all my own stuff. I was interested in that part of it as well as behind the wheel. So over the years I have accumulated all this equipment, and it has all been paid for by side jobs I've done. Every time I do a roll cage, 100% of that profit would go towards tooling up the garage. So that's why I have this nice bandsaw. I have two nice Miller welders. I got the Pexto stomp shear. I got this Beverly shear here, which is really good for sheet metal, cutting corners and stuff. I have another bench top shear, which cuts like 1/8 inch plate in straight lines really easy. I got this Mittler Brothers Jamie Jordan Signature Series bead roller, which I am going to use when I make the brush guard down here that I've been endlessly talking about. But for now, let's get these brackets cleaned up and we will get them welded in place. I hope the camera stays here. Let me get my glasses down. Let this cool out, work on the next one. And I was purposely bringing it in slow and moving it back and forth so you don't overheat one area when you bring in a sharp edge like that. This is one thing that can happen, and I always try to hold on to it as light as possible so that if it really catches and tries to like wedge itself between the base here and the sander, it doesn't pull your fingers into it. But we will keep rolling. Why not? This was an older belt anyways. See, watching this video, I hope you pick up some tips and tricks, and those tips and tricks aren't always what to do. Sometimes they're what not to do. So no one's perfect. Talk shit if you like. We'll put the bracket on. We'll put the washer and the nut on. Got a split lock nut, washer and a nut. Come on now. I don't like that split lock washer. It's making the bracket go sideways, so until that gets compressed, it's gonna kind of make that little wompy. So we're gonna remove that for now. Once this is welded in place, then we can actually put some torque on the damn thing. Gonna get this square. We'll see how this fits now. Get it on center. Looks like we want to take off about 3/8 of an inch from this bracket. Don't want it on the top of the tube, don't want it on the side of the tube, kind of want it so that it is flush with the top. So we will weld it just past the peak of the tube, maybe 1/4 inch, and that way the light will be flat with it. So why don't I take this off and let's measure 1/4 inch on, let's do 3/8, that's what I was feeling, right? So I'll do 3/8 inch on my little deal here, slide that across, nice crisp line except for, for one little spot. We'll do that on the next one. And we'll go back over to the stomp shear and we will stomp these out. Let's get nice and close in there. Get that right there. And boom. There we are. Now before I do the next one, I'm going to check the fitment. One thing with stomp shears is it can be, depending on the material thickness, it can be hard to take off just a little bit. Sometimes you need like a full 1/16. That also depends on how sharp your blade is, how well it's set up, everything like that. I haven't used mine since the winter, so it is not set up ideal. But it works. Let's see if we got it now. And it looks like we do. I like that. So I'm going to take a marker and mark where it is. And we will set the light in, see if that is good, and that is good. I like it. Let's see how far out of square we are. That's actually looking really good. So now let's get this other one tacked. Now what I'm going to do is use a tool that I haven't used at all, really. Use my Wixie digital, see if we got these things good. Zero it on this one, plop it on this one, see how good we got it. Within 1/2 degree right now. I'm just going to put some pressure up on it when I tack the other side. That seemed to get it good to 0. Not really sure why this thing is welding funny. Kind of. Maybe I'm going to go up on the heat, up on the wire speed a little bit, and let's roast these guys in here. There we go. Got 2 tabs welded on. This guy looks like it's the slightest bit crooked. Whatever. And when the fog light's going to be on there, you won't really be able to tell, and it's not the end of the world. I don't think anyone is ever going to notice it that wasn't told about it. So now we got some mounts for the Hellas. I think the last thing I'm going to do today is clean up the frame stubs and weld on the tow hooks. So let me get started on that. That one's good to go. We're going to have to hit it. This is just 120. We're going to have to hit that with like a 60 grit or something to find some actual clean metal. But we got those radiuses cleaned up. We'll do the same over here. Alright, let's switch out to this 60 grit. See if that will take care of it. Otherwise, I might need to try strip it disc, maybe even a wire wheel. Let's see. Alright, this disc is completely glazed over. Let's hit it with a wire wheel, which is always dangerous. I'm going to get welding gloves on, and we're going to switch over to a full face helmet, because when those wires come off, they will stick into your face. I have definitely pulled a few out of my cheeks, my neck, my arms. Well, that ain't doing nothing, so let me try one of those strip it discs, otherwise we'll have to get a new 60 grit. Try one of these guys. This isn't a 3M brand one, it's just a Harbor Freight jammer, so probably won't touch it. Will probably just disintegrate, but we'll give it a try. It might be the trick, it might not. Otherwise, I do have a 40 grit sanding flap disc that I found that will at least make a little more of a dent in it, maybe. Alright, that worked out pretty good. Sure they are nice and level. A little attack on the backside. And I think we are good to roast. Alright. Boom! That looks pretty damn good. If I do say so myself. We'll get the other one. Alright, turn and burn. I'm going to roast the top, and then I'm going to hammer it once. There's a little bit of a gap. I don't think this horn is perfectly square there. Boom! I think that turned out real nice. And I think that's going to be about it for me today. Roll up the welder here. We'll put everything away. Give everything a good clean. I always like trying to put the shop away as clean as can be so that next time everything is good to go. All right. Shall we have a lookie? I think the welds turned out pretty damn good. There's the toe hooks. Those welds rolled in there pretty damn nice. It all looks pretty tidy. Look at that. Looks like I knew what I was doing on that one. Let's also put on the Hellas just to have a quick see look, see how they look on there, right? Let's check it out. Put this in there. Boom! Here we go. Got a couple of Hellas. Here we go. Shop's all cleaned up, everything's put away. Got it nice and vacuumed, pretty organized, tools put away, machines put back in their places. But here we are. Here's, I'd say, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 hours of work today and probably 3 hours of work yesterday. Let's call it, we got 10 hours into this thing so far. I think it's turned out pretty sweet. Once we get the turn signals in there and the brush guard, let's call it a brush guard in there, it'll look a lot more complete, I think. And then once I get my new tires in, I'll have them mounted to my rims. And the rims, the tires will be, these are 31s, I'm gonna have some 32s, 265, 75, 16s. And I got some nice Japanese two-piece wheels, 5-spoke that I'm putting on there with a little bit of a, not a deep dish, but a little bit of a dish. And got some wheel spacers, so we will hopefully have the correct offset and look going for that. But you can see the front end, the bumper is mostly complete. I went for a look that is a lot more like recessed. I guess it's not recessed, I guess you would call it flush. A lot of the pre-runner style bumpers will be like this, but then they'll come out forward and then they'll come out even further forward, way out here, and then have a steeper angle down to the lower hoop. And while I think that looks good on a truck that's running like 33s or bigger and has like a 3-inch lift and you know, kind of that requires a certain look and stance to it. This, I think, is a little more clean, a little more subtle. I don't think subtle might be the right word. It's a bunch of tubes sticking out, but it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm never really happy with anything I make. I can always spot all the design flaws and the things that are wrong aesthetically with it, as well as I know every single bad weld I made on it, so I'm not gonna stress about it too much. I think once it is all painted up, it's gonna look great. Like I said, I'm going to flat black everything behind it. Yeah, pretty happy with how it turned out. Looks pretty symmetrical. And it's fun to do. I haven't done anything like this in a while, so I think it turned out pretty damn good. And that's all for today. that's it. It's time to head in, take a cold shower. It actually got decently hot here today after a 45-degree start to the morning, and nice cold shower. Sit on my ass for a few hours before I gotta go to bed and be up at 6 a.m. for work. Thank you for watching.